What does a successful year look like for the Florida Gators? Let's break it down. Now, y'all know this is year one for head coach Jon Sumrall. He's already done a great job so far with the 2027 class in terms of recruiting. They have the number 8 class right now in the country, number 3 in the SEC, and is led by Maxwell Hiller. But I ain't gonna lie to you, while the recruiting's going good, there's obviously a lot of hope in Gainesville and everything like that, and you believe in Coach Sumrall. They have a tough schedule, man. It doesn't get any easy for the Florida Gators. And this is what it kind of looks like, as we can see here. Right now, Florida Atlantic, Campbell, those are the cupcake games. They should be able to handle business and win, though. But your first true test comes super early for the Florida Gators, September 18th, when you have to go to Auburn, right? Now, that is kind of a toss-up game. 2 new coaches, Alex Golish, Byron Brown. Obviously, they want to show that they can play on this stage and this level. And then, obviously, Jon Sumrall. So that's going to be pretty much a toss-up game. Then you have Ole Miss at home. Now, remember a few years ago, this was under Billy Napier, though. They ended up beating, obviously, Jackson Dart and pretty much ending their playoff hopes and chances. So another revenge game for Ole Miss, but they got to come down to the swamp for that one. At Missouri, it's going to be very interesting. Will their quarterback be ready? We know about Ahmad Hardy, but Ahmad Hardy is currently kind of in that recovery after he ended up getting shot. Wishing him a speedy recovery. But how good will Mizzou be this year? I'm not too sure. I think Mizzou takes a step back. But I'm thinking at worst, like, you looking at a good, at worst 4-1, at that time 5-0. South Carolina is South Carolina. We still don't know. Shane Beamer, what can they do this upcoming year? Can they take a step forward? It was a very disappointing 2025 campaign for, obviously, South Carolina, but they bring back a lot of their horses, right? Lenore Sellers, Dylan Stewart, Nick Harbor, but is that good enough to be dangerous? I don't know. Then you got Texas. Now, that's the one I think they're going to probably end up losing. Going to at Texas, playing in Austin, I believe Florida is going to probably lose that one against Archman and them boys. So I think at that point, they'll take an L. But I think they can sweep this schedule and go at least 5-1. Actually, I'm going to say 6-1 if you include Texas. Then you play versus Georgia, right? We know what that game is, right? And if you Florida, you got to finally get over the hump. Georgia's been dominating the rivalry the last few years, right? But if you coach Jon Sumrall and you want to send a message and you want to show, yo, Florida, we ain't nothing to play with. We them boys. We them dudes. You're going to have to take us serious. You got to beat Georgia. Neutral site, usually in Jacksonville. I think they still might be doing renovations, so they might be in Orlando. But you want to send a message. That's how you do it. And at that point, you're 8-1. And then your schedule kind of loosens up a little bit. Even if you lose to Georgia, you're 7-2. But it's still a pretty good looking schedule. Then you play Oklahoma. That's a must win November 7th. If you're a Gator fan, we got to beat Oklahoma. We got to obviously outlast them boys. And we got to be able to come out on top. Not going to be an easy game. Then you play at Kentucky. Winnable game. I know they obviously throwing the new guys in there. Obviously new head coach. But I don't think Kentucky's going to be all that this year. Vanderbilt obviously has some great, seasons under obviously Diego Pavia and their head coach, but they got a new freshman 5-star quarterback. Maybe he'll be better at that point in the season, but that stuff takes time to develop and gel and all that stuff. Year one is usually like that kind of wait and see type of a year. So I think it might take Jared Curtis a little bit of time with them boys, but Vanderbilt is talented. But I do think they should be able to win that another home game. I got Florida, and then they play at Florida State. Florida State's a team in a rebuild. Yes, they got Usman Kromah, but they lost a lot of their players. Yes, they got one of the top receivers in the ACC, and Deuce Robinson. Ashton Daniels, I'm not too he's great, good. Nah, he's an average at best. So I'm not too thrilled about him. I think they're going to have a good running game, solid defense, but I think that's still going to be a winnable game. But a great way to end the regular season at Florida State November 27th, a little bit after Thanksgiving. So I'm going to say overall, when I look at the schedule, yes, it's tough, but I believe in the Florida Gators. I think this is a team that should be able to handle business. I like what they got at quarterback. I like Tramel Jones. I like everything that they're going to be able to do. I think he's going to be the presumptive starter. I think they're ceiling, I believe they can win about 9 to 10 games, right? So I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say 10-2. At worst for the Florida Gators, I'm going to say 9-3. But I think if you win 10 games, if you Florida with this tumultuous schedule, you should be able to get into obviously a CFP playoff. And even 9 wins, depending on how everything shakes out, should be able to get you in. So again, it ain't going to be easy. Some people going to look at me crazy as hell when I say this, but I think they could beat Auburn, right? I think they could upset Ole Miss at home, right? Ole Miss returning that Chambers, I know he's elite, he's good, right? I know about Kewan Lacey, he's good, right? But they got to come to the swamp. And we know how difficult it is to win at the swamp. So I think those are winnable games. I think South Carolina, we got to wait and see. We still ain't seen a new offensive coordinator, new offensive line coach. They didn't revamp the whole roster. I don't know yet. Texas and Georgia, those will probably be losses. But if you can split that and maybe beat Georgia on the neutral site, you feel good. So I think it comes down for Florida. You're going to have to win one of those 2 games between Auburn and Ole Miss. I think you got to try to win both, in my humble opinion. And then you got to split that Texas-Georgia. That's going to be the toughest stretch of the season. But you get a bye week thrown in there. After Texas, bye week, then Georgia. You can't beat that. Then you have Oklahoma, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Florida State. All very winnable games. So I'm going to say my ceiling for the Florida Gators is 10-2. My floor is 9-3. I think they're going to shock some people this year. Comment down below your thoughts.